Hello everybody, and thank you for joining me for another video breakdown. With the anime feature Dragon Slayer making 19.5 million in the US market over the weekend, which has knocked Raya and the Last Dragon off of the biggest release for this year, it's no wonder that there's such a buzz around anime and the anime style. Netflix has a huge catalogue of anime which it has on its books. Today we're going to take a look at one of the new ones which it's about to release, Yasuka. So let's get into it! If you haven't had a look at the full trailer, please check down in the descriptions. I'll have a link to the trailer. This is before the release, so this is one thing which I don't like about Netflix release strategy, is it's like there's 2 days between the trailer and the full thing's released. So we've only got a short time to have a look at the trailer and get excited about it, which is both which is a bit of a downfall, but when it comes out and it's a new feature, it's a new series, then you get to watch the whole series. I mean, that is such a bonus. But it's also an oversaturation where you can't build up anticipation or anything for it. So, but all of that put aside, I think this is going to be a very exciting thing to get into it. So, what I'm going to be looking at through this trailer is just some of the framing choices which anime does, which other 2D doesn't do quite as well. So, I've picked out a few frames and we're just going to talk about the way that these shots work. So the first thing we're going to look at is this particular shot, which is just like a shelf at any market, trinket market, with all sorts of stuff on it. But the thing I really dig about this is there's nothing that's horizontal. Anyone that kind of has gone through any of my other breakdowns, you realize that I'm not a big fan of horizontal lines, especially inside a video. But there's a lot of leading lines here which are traversing at an angle across the frame. Now, the thing that this also leads you into is that while all the angles in the frame are leading that way, what also works really well within this shot is it leads the camera to actually track sideways or at an angle as well. So I really like this because most camera tracks, when you actually see camera tracks, especially within film, it's either across or it's just straight down. So you're either getting a dolly across or a crane down to keep angles nice and clean and clear within a frame which is horizontal and vertical. But to break that up, which is really nice within this particular shot, it just to create some sort of intrigue, is the camera travels at an angle across the frame, the same angle that all the objects are lined up at as well. So I think this is really clever and really unique to actually see a camera just on a track going across a frame at an angle rather than square to the frames that it has top and on the edge. Beautiful choice to go at an angle. Now the next frame I'm going to have a look at is just this particular very flat frame, which is nice to see. You know, there's not many angles in this frame. There's a lot of, if we look at it, there's a lot of horizontals across it, and ground plane very low. Main characters dressed up on thirds, nice and evenly, or just outside the thirds for both of them. This is just a classic framing within a shot between two main characters. As you can see, one's eye line is slightly above the other. But the thing I really wanted to point out about this particular shot is the amount and the attention to detail. Where let's create a really cluttered scene with a lot of characters. You can see that there's not a huge amount of detail in them. There's like 2 tones in their clothing, and really simple shapes to the characters. The faces are not much more than usually just drawn eyes and a mouth. And none of these guys in the background move, which is really, most of the time when I'm kind of thinking about framing up a shot, I really want to see a lot of, to get dynamics in the shot. I want to see movement, and characters are usually something to get things moving. But the amount of work and the amount of effort that goes into creating movement in characters for 2D anime shots like this is very time consuming. You can tell the difference in the characters here. You can see how much color work and how much detail is on their clothing and on their muscles and body shape. You know, you can see all the folds in his clothes which we get in here, whereas these guys in the background really only have like a bulge between their changes of color. So the background characters are very simple, and if we look between them as it scrapes through the shot, there's absolutely zero movement on any of them. Even though this is quite a long shot, the only movement is on one character. So they've been able to keep animation down, animation costs down, but it's still kept like a clustered scene. There's a lot of characters in here. Your eyes are definitely drawn to the action that's happening, and the classic framing shows you which characters are the main characters, but all these guys in the background, they're static. Not something you can do in 3D that much, but definitely something you can take advantage of in a 2D shot like this. Now I've dug this shot out because I really like what they've done here with this one. To start off with, the colors in this are so bright and vibrant, and they've put their main characters with a very clear silhouette. Gone green, I've got a lot of green today, so using my green color. But these are obviously our main characters coming through, very dark, very shadowy as a silhouette. But they're also got the very traditional frame inside a frame. There's the two doors on either side, which are blocking out our horizontals. But then we've also got all our leading lines, which are back here. If you look for your horizontal horizon line, your horizon line appears in this shot actually below frame, which is really clean, really different. Your horizon line is not seen in the frame, which is really nice, really clever. You can see all your leading lines lead back to these center characters. You know, even if you look at the patterns in the roof, all these lines are leading you down into where these guys have come from. And they're framed inside a frame. So we've got the doors on either side. We've got all our leading lines leading back to the silhouette in the middle. And the horizon line for this image is below camera line, which is really quite a gorgeously framed little shot. So I really dig the introduction here of our bad guys as they come in. Number one, first thing is they're introduced in shadow, bright lights behind them, so they're walking behind it. People are bowing down to them. Now that could just be a cultural sign of respect, but in this particular story and the way I think this story is being told, I think he's definitely going to be the bad guy because these guys are bowing down to him. And, you know, it's just a really nice frame. Doors on either side, all the leading lines down into it, and the real bright color behind the dark shapes of the main characters walking in. It's a lovely shot. Another great use of color is in this fight sequence. Fighting in snow makes everything white. If you look at what they've done here, they've got the sky is a tone of white. They've got the background here is definitely colored in snow as well, so it's got a color of gray, and the ground is a color of gray. But the main thing which wants to draw your attention is the black of this character, the main character. Number one is, yes, his armor is definitely a dark color. Even the other ninja is a darker gray, whereas the main guy is black. So they've attracted these, it's a monochromatic color palette for this sequence. When you do watch the whole sequence, you'll notice that the main color which does come in is the red. Like at the moment, the red's only in their sashes, but of course, if you know what the color of blood is, you can tell that when blood splatters and it goes everywhere, it colors the scene beautifully in red. And the other thing which is really nice about this particular frame is the white. While everything else looks white, it's got a dusty grey to it, and the only thing that's really white is the motion of that blade. And it's really a hot white. And I think that hot white as the main weapon, and he's the only one who gets that, really highlights the impact that that white streak across the screen has for the motion for his sword. It looks really awesome. Now, another thing which anime does do, not a lot, but when it does it really, really well, is the straight top-down view. Now, this contrasting to the shot we had earlier where you had all these beautiful lines leading you back into the background, what this does then is give you so many horizontal lines all the way through the frame. So it breaks up the frame really, really cleanly with horizontal lines across the whole thing. We've also got, they've used a lot of shade as well, so color, light, to kind of give a bit of depth in this. We've also used, like if you look at where these characters are placed along here, they're all sitting, you know, a clear step away, all of them, except these guys, which are then facing towards each other. If we look at these guys as well, they're all facing towards each other. So the camera, while it's panning down, is led by our character who's walking through the frame, the scene. Now, there's only two more which I want to talk about. This one, I really love this, continuing on from the top-down view. Another beautiful top-down, but we've split the frame where they come out of, and we come out from underneath a tree. I mean, this is just a beautiful attention to detail. You can see the light that comes across on an angle. We've seen the tree, which is covering half the frame. We've got the speckles off the water. Like, that looks, just that detail breaks up the frame, and it's not just a flat blue for water. We've got a transitional color across here as well, from being a lighter blue to a darker blue as it gets underneath it. But dead center to our frame, we've got dead center to our frame, we've got our boat with our main characters in it, and it comes out from underneath the tree. I mean, I really like this. It's coming down again as well, so just transitionally through frame, having something coming down a frame feels weird, and it has a bit of an unsettling feel to it, that you get action coming down the frame. But it's nice having a boat be revealed via the tree over the water, just looking dead on top of it. It's a really nice camera shot as we move along through that water. You know, comes out from underneath the tree, and he's just moving along. You know, all this water ripples that goes along here. It's just a very simple little shot. Camera's just moving. The characters are moving faster than the camera, but it's such a lovely little frame. And the last shot I want to talk about that was in this trailer is this particular shot. Now, I have absolutely no context to what this is or who this guy is or where he comes from. But, you know, the framing within it is, you've got your diagonal lines giving space in the sky for this clear, big silhouette to be in the shade. So we've got the light come up behind him. So he's definitely darker than everything else. Right behind him is this very red, ominous sky. We've got a few bits of detail here with the trees, but of course they're coming off at such a strange angle, you don't know which way up is. Like if we look at them, they've all got that there. So we've gone for a really beautiful frame of being skewed, like your character's also skewed from coming from a corner, like he doesn't come up from the middle. So he comes up and he fills up this whole bottom left corner in shadow. So he's all dark. His detail's still really good, but I mean, I just love that frame. It's such a just a tilted frame. I can't wait to see where this fits in and what's actually going on. So there you have it. There's my quick look at Yasuka. It's coming out on Netflix on April 29. So they have released the trailer 2 days before. So this is my little hype video for it. I can't wait to see this. I'm so excited for it. Leave comments down below if you're also looking forward to it. Thank you so much for joining me all the way through this. Until the next time, I'll just say bye-bye.